the same people that'll build you up and tell you you're great are the same people that said you suck, you're 40 years old, you're fat, and you shouldn't get a contract. I don't care. You just can't let your highs be too high and your lows be too low, because if your highs define you, you're going to crash hard.
The Phoenician back in the Freak Nation, Michael McDowell, your winner from Indianapolis Motor Speedway last weekend. And Michael, there's so many emotions that went through our head, nowhere near what went through your head after that race win. But I don't even want to say there were doubters. There were people just not even talking about Michael McDowell winning this race. You're sitting just outside of a playoff spot, and we're all ignoring you. You as the driver in that car, does that inspire you to kick some ass, or what is it?
It's funny because I don't pay too much attention to a lot of the, I call it outside noise, of people's perception of what you're doing or what you're not doing. But, I'm still engaged in the sport, and I'm watching and listening and all that. I just think that people aren't paying attention because, and I'm not saying that, with a big ego, but since this next gen car, we've been really fast at the road courses, and we haven't had a performance yet like we did at Indy, but we went to Sonoma, qualified third, only car that could hang with Truex, probably had a shot at winning that race, ran in the top 5 pretty much every single road course that we've had with this next gen car. So we felt as a team and as a group, we're building, getting better. It was just a matter of time. But I think that when you're running 3rd to 7th, people are like, oh yeah, he's having a good day, but they don't realize how close that is to a winning day, because it only takes a few things. And so, it's fun to surprise people for sure. We weren't surprised. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that like arrogant. We weren't. We thought we could go there and run top 5. And if we do everything right, we'll have a shot at winning the race. Now, we didn't know that we'd have a dominant car and hit everything perfect and be able to, lead a lot of laps and do that. But we knew that we were going to be close and in the game. So it's just fun. I've never been in a situation like that in the Cup Series to have a car quite that good. And it's nice that we maximized, the opportunity that we had.
Well, hold on. You say you didn't know going into the weekend that you would have a dominant car. When did you realize it? Was it practice? Was it qualifying? Was it mid-race?
So at the end of practice, we were feeling pretty good about just overall where we were at. We look at all the data, we look at all the lap trackers, and, you have your fastest average of, over all the laps, who was the fastest 5 lap, fastest 10 lap, and fastest single lap. And we led all those categories in practice. So we knew we were in a pretty good spot. But you just don't know how that's going to translate from Saturday to Sunday. Because the rubber track changes, condition changed. It rained during the Xfinity race. Lots of rubber went down. You had IndyCar rubber. So there's a lot of variables. But Sunday by lap 3, I pretty much knew that, I had an opportunity at it. I had a hot rod. So, I woke up Sunday morning more nervous than normal. It just kind of feeling like this was an opportunity that, we probably had the best car, and now you got to go make something happen with it. So I think all weekend it kind of just led to, showing that we had the speed and we were close.
I saw somewhere where you made mention of how your family was not there for your win in Daytona, but they were in Indy. So if you woke up a little bit more nervous than normal on Sunday, race day morning in Indianapolis, how did your family help you with that?
Yeah. So, they make it more stressful. Anybody that has kids knows that, like, you can be sweet and nice. I love my family. You guys know that, but you're already tense. You're already stressed out. And now somebody's not happy with breakfast, and somebody took somebody's toy and they said this, and I'm like, oh, I just got to get out of here. Just like you would in everyday life, right? That doesn't change. But what I was feeling was, I've had this before where you're just feeling the weight and the pressure of, this is an opportunity. You don't get it all the time. And so, it didn't scare me. It if anything, I just kind of knew it was, you just got to be laser focused and you got to make the most of it.
Wow. Michael McDowell, winner of the NASCAR road race at Indianapolis. You win and they want to shut the thing down. What's that tell you?
Yeah, I think that was coming way before my win. You know, being on the road course has been fun, and I'm biased. I would race on a road course every weekend if they'd let us. But I also too understand the significance of racing, you know, at Indy on the oval and the Brickyard, and the road course is special, but it's different. It is different. It's no different when y'all are watching IndyCar and we're watching IndyCar. The 500 is different than the GP. It just is. And that's not taking away anything from the road course. You know, I don't feel less about winning the Indy road course, you know, because of saying that. So I understand wanting to get back to the oval. And I think the next gen car, honestly, will put on a good race there. It's probably a good time for it. But I like mixing it up too. I think that, you know, the last few years we've gone to some new tracks and added some new venues and, you know, new styles with dirt. And so I think doing different things like that is helpful. You know, running at the same tracks and going there twice and doing the same thing for 10 or 15 years. I think that, you know, fans want to see it different. We want to see it different as competitors. So, you know, I hope that will not scratch the Indy road course altogether. But I do think that the oval is probably in our future. I really don't know what the schedule is. I'm not hiding anything from you guys. I'm just holding on to hope that like we still get to race the road course and we do the oval. So we'll see what happens.
I like that.
And Michael McDowell, it's a small team, one car. You've only been in business less than 5 years, going against teams that have been around for 5 decades, it seems. Your success recently in the last few years, especially in the last 10 races, your success is because of what? The new car that everybody is learning, you getting better, the team getting better. Where's the success coming from?
Yeah, all the above, just like anything else. You know, it's all about people. People are what make everything go better and or go worse, right? And so we've done a great job of finding really good people here at Front Row. And I do think that this next gen car is a big part of it. I don't think it's the only part, but we had good people. We had a good program. Then you bring in the next gen car and it levels the playing field. And now we're in the game. I think we had the people and the knowledge and the experience to be in the game. We just didn't quite have the equipment. When the equipment got leveled out slightly, that put us kind of in that next level. And so it's a process. You know, I do feel like I'm getting better. Still a student, still working really hard to try to, you know, learn new things and maximize every detail that you can. Our race team has progressively gotten better, but I would be lying to you if I said that, oh, we would have been here had the next gen car not come. I don't think we would have. I think the next gen car is what helped us get to that next level. And it definitely has leveled the playing field. And to my surprise, it's actually stayed that way. You know, I remember telling my guys, you know, we got 6 months with this new car. We better get it done in 6 months, because when Hendrick and their 600 people figure it out, they're going to leave us in the dust again. That's just what big teams do. They just, more people, more resources, they're going to do it. So we got a very short window to make it happen. But that hasn't been the case. I think NASCAR's done a pretty good job of keeping everybody together, because here we are coming up on, you know, year 2 for us. And we're as good, if not even a little better than we were at times last year. And that's with a lot of teams figuring it out. You know, you would go to races last year and you'd have 4 Joe Gibbs racing cars run 25th to 30th. Never in the history of our sport have we ever seen anything like that, right? Then you'd see Penske go win 2 or 3 in a row, and then they would go to a racetrack and they would be 20th to 25th. And so now that everybody's had time with this car and figuring it out, it's harder, but we haven't lost to the top teams. So it's been a big help.
Let me throw in one more thing here. Michael McDowell, you had experience before NASCAR. You had experience in open wheel. this car is not your NASCAR. It doesn't have truck arms and all the paraphernalia that made the car 50 years old, carburetors. Did you bring something into the mix that said, I know this and I can help, and you were one of the things that helped bring the car along?
So yes and no. I've been a part of a lot of those conversations, decisions when it comes to which direction we're going with different things. And Jim France is obviously a big part of this next gen car and the NASCAR family. But I've raced for Jim in sports cars and have known him for a long time. And so we would talk every weekend. We were talking about sports car racing and, talking about IndyCar racing and, what the sport needed and, what keeps us from being able to compete. And he would ask me a lot of those questions. Is it engineering? Is it just funding? What about this? What if this was standardized? So I don't want to say that I was influential in any of those, but I definitely had a lot of those conversations. But I do feel like that when this car rolled out, immediately I felt very comfortable in it. It was more like a Daytona prototype sports car that I, came out of. I mean, that was a lot of years ago. If I got into a prototype right now, it would be so different than the old prototype that I drove that it would be like going from the old Cup car to the new Cup car. But immediately when the new car came out, I felt like, oh yeah, I know what this should feel like. And this is familiar to me. And I think that that's helped, kind of speed up our learning curve.
Michael McDowell, winner from Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course last weekend, NASCAR Cup Series, joining us here in the Freak Nation. Two things. I'll ask the first question. The first one is, when it comes to road courses versus ovals, the layperson will say, well, okay, a road course, why can't the same guy win on a road course that wins on an oval? Can you explain and frankly, I kind of have that too. Where are the intricacies? Is it in the driver? Is it in the setup where you can go out and dominate on a road course, but there may be a difficulty on a mile oval for Front Row and Michael McDowell?
Yeah, that is a great question. I've never had it framed like that. If you gave me a race winning car at Darlington, I'm going to go win the race. I don't feel like it's just because of road course experience, but I think that my road course experience helps me get our setup and our program a little bit better than, say, at a place like Darlington. So I think that helps us as a strength. But we've had fast cars at other places, and especially over the last 2 years. And I don't feel like it's so much driver as it is car setup and all that. But there are particular drivers in the Cup Series that are just really, really strong at the road courses. And most of those guys are strong on ovals too. But there's very few now. When I first started, it was different. There's very few now that you just go, oh, that guy's no good. Joey Logano. You wouldn't say that he's not good at a road course. He's really good at a road course. It might not be his best tracks or his expertise, but the guys aren't slouches anymore. Everybody works really hard at it. And, the old days, there was probably like 15 guys that sucked really bad at road courses. I mean, they were atrocious. And then there was like 10 of those guys that were good at it, naturally gifted, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, you go through the list of them, Carl Edwards. I mean, and then there was other guys that worked really hard at being able to just do it somewhat well. Now everybody is locked in. I mean, everybody's at the go-kart track. Everybody's on the simulator. Everybody's working really hard because road courses used to be just 2 races a year. Now we have so many of them that you can't have a weak spot in the Cup Series and plan on making the playoffs or making the championship. And, you have the Charlotte Roval in the round of 2. You go there and you run. If you're a Kyle Busch and you've had a great year and you go to the Roval and you run 25th, you're going to miss the cut. And so everybody knows how important the road courses are now. And so those guys have worked hard at being good at it.
Michael McDowell joining us once again here in the Freak Nation. Been a long time guest in the Freak Nation. We've said it for 20 plus years of how he called us on his honeymoon night many, many years ago. Michael, I don't know how deep you want to go into this. You are a very spiritual man, and that's out there. We know that, and we love it. How has your mental state grown over these 2 decades in NASCAR when it comes to dealing with signing contracts with your team, which just happened, winning races, knowing that you can compete with the Hendricks and the Penske's? You've got a family. Can you share with us? Can you deep dive into this a little bit about mentally? Where are you? How are you doing now as a person in your age, driving a big time Cup car and dealing with this outside noise?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever asked. I mean, so I'll do my best. I feel like early on in my career, I was just all fire energy, and just whatever you had to do to perform at a high level. And I had just enough drive and ambition and natural ability to keep that going. And then I got into the Cup Series, huge jump. Cars are hard to drive, very foreign to me, out of my element, new team, new program, new manufacturer, and it was just a struggle. And I put so much pressure on myself, which I think you should at this level. I mean, you're the driver. There is a lot of pressure, but maybe pressure isn't the right word. So much worth in that your value is tied in performance. And so I think where my faith has helped me is knowing that my value is not based on my performance. My value is who I am. It's who I am as a father, as a husband, as a person, as a friend. What I do is what I do. Now, I want to be really good at what I do. It's important to me. Faith comes into that too. I feel like God has given me the opportunity, one, the skill set, and two, people die to be a Cup driver. They would die to be in this position. And so for me not to give it everything I have and to work really hard at it would just be poor stewardship on my part. So I work really hard at it. I hold the results loosely because I know that my value doesn't come from whether or not I win the race. My value comes in who I am as a person. And so that's helped me a lot, right? It's also helped me to be able to, if I put in the work, and this might sound selfish, but it's just how I'm able to deal with it mentally. If I study, if I put in the work, if I give it everything I have, then I'm pretty okay with whatever the result is. I can't control every aspect and every variable, where it used to drive me nuts. It bothered you so much, but if I just do what I'm supposed to do, and I work really hard at what I'm supposed to do, and I do that well and hold the results loosely, I can sleep well at night and not be too stressed out about it and too anxious about it and too worried about it. And I think social media and all the extra pressure that young guys have and other, not just drivers, but in the world, it's so tough. If you can't block out that noise, it can eat you alive. Like if I went on there and read every comment previous to me winning, and everyone like, golly, why would front row keep a 40-year-old fat old man? He's never won anything. You just go down all that. And I can get it from their perception. But what people think about me, people's perception doesn't define your value. Right. And so I know that I work really hard at my craft and I give it everything I have. And it's so that's a little bit how I deal with it. As far as the pressure of contracts and playoffs and all that, it's the same thing. I treat it like this: do right by people, work hard, and the Lord takes care of the rest. If I end up out on the road and I got to find a new job, that's all part of the journey. It's all part of the plan. I gave it everything I had. And so when you have days like we had at Indy was no different for me preparation wise than Chicago road course was. But the result just worked out. Everything came together. We had a fast car, pit crew did excellent, everything. So I feel very satisfied, obviously from Indy, but I was satisfied with the work that I put in for those other races too, even though the result wasn't there. So, but it is a grind. It's so many highs and lows. So this is the other thing too, is don't let your highs be too high and don't let your lows be too low. And that's one thing that this week that I'm doing, trying to do well. Like the same people that'll build you up and tell you you're great are the same people that said you suck, you're 40 years old, you're fat, and you shouldn't get a contract. I don't care. You just can't let your highs be too high and your lows be too low, because if your highs define you, you're going to crash hard. And if your lows define you, you're going to crash hard. Mm-hmm. And so you just try to stay in that middle ground where you know who you are. I know who I am. It's no secret of who I am. I know my flaws. I know all the broken parts. I know all the ugly parts. And I know who I'm not. And I'm okay with both. And so, but it takes years and experience, and I think that that's what helps me now. Like the pressure on Sunday, I felt the pressure. Those last 10 laps, I'm not, if I don't win, I'm going to lose everything and it's all going to fall apart. I'm just like, this is my chance. So cool. Like, make it count. This is awesome. I'm going to make it count. And if I slide off, I slide off. They can't eat you. They can't eat you. Like, they won't eat you. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Well, I bet you said a little prayer to keep that last guaranteed green-white checker flag from coming. I bet that was somewhere.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it till afterwards, but I saw AJ go off in the gravel trap, right? And that was for sure going to be a caution. And he gassed that thing up, hammered down, and got out of the gravel trap. So I definitely owe him one. He did a good job of not getting stuck. And I've known AJ for a long time, and before the race started, he came up to me. He's like, "Man, this is it. Go get it!" Like, and he doesn't say stuff like that because he's a fierce competitor. He don't want to see anybody win, right? And he's like, "If you got to go get it," And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." So it's fun.
Those are lessons. Sorry, Kenny. Those are lessons for life. That is way cool. Thank you for giving so many kids that needed to hear what you just said, whether they're studying for an exam or going in for a job interview for their third time. That was awesome advice. That was great.
Freak Nation, his smile, his demeanor says it all, man. Michael McDowell here in the Freak Nation. Buddy, I know we took you a little longer than we should have.
Good.
Damn it. It's the Freak Nation, and then it's McDowell. Buddy, thank you very much for doing this, man. Good luck to you, partner.
All right. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.